What is considered polite in one place may provoke dirty looks, or even worse elsewhere. What seems rude to you may be the highest form of respect in another culture. The world is governed by invisible, unwritten laws that regulate everything. From how you slurp your soup to how you greet your boss. Today, we send you on a fun and amazing journey through the strangest social codes in the world. They are so unusual that they seem like real laws. The first rule: forget everything your mom ever taught you about table manners. Seriously, in Japan, when you eat ramen or soba, slurping loudly is not just okay. It is a sign of the highest respect. Loud and shameless slurping is a direct compliment to the chef, an audible signal that you are in culinary heaven. It is also believed that this enhances the flavor of the dish. This is the complete opposite of Western etiquette. Imagine being praised for this instead of being kicked out of a restaurant. The second rule: in the Netherlands, there is a phrase that follows every social interaction. Behave normally, or just behave normally. And believe me, this is not friendly advice. It is the invisible fence of Dutch society. The goal is to blend in with others, to be ordinary. Boasting is a grave sin. Showing off your wealth is not accepted here. Don't even think about it. This is a culture of radical equality that can confuse foreigners. If you start talking about a raise, you will get an indifferent look. The most modest survive here. This is a country where a high head is quickly cut down. Finland is a country with 5 million people who would probably prefer to be in separate soundproof rooms. They are world champions in personal space. You have probably seen memes of Finns at a bus stop. Everyone is scattered as if undergoing a social distancing drill from the future. This is not an exaggeration. On a small black tray, you are expected to tip the waiter, bartender, hairdresser, the person who handed you a towel. If you don't, you will be considered not just stingy. You will essentially be called a bad person. It's not about generosity. It's a moral judgment with a price tag. 5 units. In Italy, ordering a cappuccino after 11 in the morning is a challenge to culture. It's not forbidden, but it's like asking to put pineapple on pizza in Naples. For Italians, milk coffee is only for breakfast, almost a full meal. Ordering a cappuccino during the day is a sign of a food disaster. Just don't do it. If you order it at 3 in the afternoon, the judgment will be silent but swift. You will immediately be considered a tourist barbarian. 6. In South Korea, your hands do not belong to you at the table. Rule number 1. Never pour your own drink in company. This is unacceptable. Your glass is your neighbor's responsibility, and you are responsible for their glass. Continuous exchange of respect in action. And when you pour for, an adult should hold the bottle with both hands. It is a subtle, continuous dance of social caution that shows how straightforward and somewhat selfish Western drinking culture is. 7. A quick experiment. Look at your hands. In many regions of India, the Middle East, and Africa, one hand is a social pariah. The right hand is for the important. The right hand is used for eating, handshakes, and passing money. The left hand performs a less attractive function related to personal hygiene. Eating with the left is considered disgusting, and even if you are left-handed, you are expected to adapt. No excuses. You must follow these rules not to offend those around you. 8. Everyone thinks they understand German punctuality, but that's not the case. Being on time is for beginners. It's a complex art with strict rules. A social event, arrive 5 minutes early. A business meeting, exactly on time. It's not about efficiency, but a moral code on invisible clocks. Being late is not an accident, but a lack of character. And believe me, it gets recorded in your permanent file. 9. In France, bonjour is not just a greeting, but a key. Without it, the door to the French world won't open. Society remains closed, and you stand in the cold. The first word upon entering any store is mandatory. Forget it, and you become invisible, as if you don't exist. Say bonjour, and the world slightly opens up. But this is just the beginning. Loudly praising your achievements is a big taboo. It's a cultural equivalent of a group chat, silently judging the use of an exclamation mark. In Greece, to compliment a child, you must be ready to spit. In Greece, spitting is considered a protection against the evil eye. Compliments can cause envy and misfortune, while spitting is a magical response. Not evil, but a protective gesture. Imagine the panic of an American tourist when they see a kind old lady seemingly spitting on their newborn. It is the cultural equivalent of knocking on wood, but with saliva. In Thailand, under no circumstances should you touch another person's head. The head is the most sacred part of the body, the home of the soul. Even a friendly pat is a deep violation. Thus, the head is the spiritual peak, and the feet are the lowest and dirtiest part of the body. Pointing feet at a person or religious symbol is a great insult. Hands have a strict, invisible rule. They must not be raised above someone else's shoulders. This is an unwritten taboo that must never be broken. In the United Kingdom, offering a cup of tea is not just a question. It is the beginning of a subtle social dance with many unspoken rules and nuances. It is very important how exactly you ask, which milk to use, and how to serve the tea properly. It is a whole ritual comparable to royal etiquette. The heated debate about tea ratio and whether milk goes in first or last is loaded with meaning. Getting it wrong brings more than funny looks. It is like tripping on the red carpet at Buckingham Palace while spilling tea on the Queen's corgi. The stakes of tea etiquette are surprisingly high. In Spain, if you arrive for dinner at 7 p.m., you will not be early. Instead, you might eat alone while the restaurant staff still sets tables. Spaniards follow a different schedule: a late lunch, an afternoon siesta, and dinner starting at 10 p.m. or later. Their lifestyle challenges your normal body clock. Dinner in Spain is not just a meal, but the evening's main event. Your usual bedtime is just their appetizer, highlighting cultural contrasts in daily rhythms. In Egypt, hospitality is not just kindness, but an intense, competitive sport where you are the prize. Refusing an offer once or twice is polite. The host must insist, and you must accept on the third offer. This unwritten rule leads to an overwhelming display of kindness you are expected to enjoy. Resisting hospitality in Egypt is considered rude and old-fashioned. You are encouraged to embrace the generosity as part of the cultural experience. Just accept the fate of a well-fed hostage. In a Chinese business meeting, a business card is not just a piece of paper. It is a direct extension of the person handing it to you. You should present a business card with both hands and receive it with both hands as well. After receiving it, do not immediately put the card in your pocket. The queue in Brazil is not a straight line, but a living, breathing organism that constantly changes and transforms. You don't stand in line, you join a hive. Yes, the stereotype is true. Canadians often say, "Sorry," but you probably completely misunderstand it. Often an apology is not an admission of guilt, but a social lubricant. It can mean sorry, or I acknowledge our coexistence. If you encounter a Canadian, they will definitely apologize. If a meteorite falls to the ground, they will probably look up and say, "Oops, sorry about that." It's a verbal reflex woven into their DNA. Prepare for it. In Argentina, a quick kiss on the cheek is the standard greeting for everyone. Friends, family, new acquaintances, even men kiss each other on the cheek when meeting other men. For an American, this can be surprising and too intimate. It's not romantic, it's just customary. If you respond with a firm handshake, you loudly announce to everyone that you are a tourist. A very awkward tourist. Let's go back to Germany for a second because we need to talk about the gaze. The German gaze is a real thing. It is intense, continuous, and steady. Such a gaze may seem unsettling, but there's a catch. It's not aggression, but a sign of sincerity expressed through the eyes. It seems that sometimes when people listen to you carefully, they are actually looking for logical errors. But in reality, it's their way of showing complete and slightly intimidating attention. In Mexico, your time deceives you. Or at least, it tells a completely different story than everyone else's. The concept of time here is very flexible. If a party is scheduled for 8 in the evening, arriving before 9:30 is almost a social crime. The host might still be in the shower. This is not disrespect or laziness. It is the priority of people over the schedule. The event starts not at a specific time, but when the important people, that is everyone, have arrived. Your carefully planned schedule is just a polite suggestion. In Mexico, flexibility and human relationships are valued more than exact time. In Japan, if you are offered a gift, the correct reaction is to act as if you do not want to accept it at all. You should refuse politely but firmly. The refusal should be repeated once or twice, after which the giver should insist. It is a subtle performance, a play of modesty and persistence. Accepting a gift immediately is considered greed and aggression. It is not a bargain, but a ritual. You participate in the game of "no, I insist." The cultural rule demands that you must be the first to swerve in a social situation. Everyone knows about Danish hygge. But what about its Norwegian relative, kos? You must submit to the national cuddle agenda. Resisting kos feels almost futile and might even be illegal in spirit. It is a cultural obligation during cold months. Now imagine you are in a mall in Saudi Arabia, looking for the perfect shoes. Suddenly, lights dim, music stops, and a man with a stick guides you out. This happens daily because all shops, from luxury boutiques to supermarkets, close 5 times a day for prayer. No exceptions, no delays are allowed. The rhythm of commerce yields completely to the rhythm of faith. Your shopping can only happen according to God's schedule, not your own plans. In Ireland, the most important social currency is called the crack. It is not related to drugs, but refers to the intangible feeling of a good time. The perfect combination of witty jokes, engaging stories, and contagious energy is a magical and elusive thing. It cannot be planned in advance. As soon as you say, "Let's have a good laugh," you already kill the moment. It's like quantum physics. Observation changes the outcome. In America, you are taught to smile at strangers. In some parts of Eastern Europe, a smile is perceived as a sign of foolishness or dangerous instability. A smile is not just a greeting, but a manifestation of genuine warmth. It is not given out to everyone indiscriminately. Here, a smile means you are selling something or hiding something. The Japanese have a concept key to understanding their social interactions: hun and tatami. Tatami is your public face. Tatami are the opinions and behaviors you display to maintain social harmony. Han are your true, personal feelings. Everyone understands that what is said does not always match the thoughts. This is not duplicity, but an advanced social tool to avoid conflicts. It's like a theatrical performance, and you'd better learn your lines, or you'll ruin the show. In South Africa, a braai is not just a barbecue. Calling it that is like calling the Super Bowl just a ball game. Braai is a whole day-long ritual. There is one braai master who is in charge of the fire, and no one dares to question his methods. Cooking takes hours. It's a marathon of slow grilling and socializing. This is not about quick meat preparation, but about the entire process. Braai is a cultural institution with tongs in hand, uniting people and traditions. In Finland, some of the most important business meetings take place in a small, stuffy, wooden room where everyone is completely naked. Welcome to the sauna. For Finns, the sauna is a place of deep, non-sexual, egalitarian communication. Titles and hierarchies melt away with the sweat. Discussing company mergers naked is normal. This is the most honest meeting of the whole week, because it's hard to hide behind corporate jargon when you don't even have pants on. It's just an ordinary Tuesday. In the Philippines, a watch is more of a decorative element than a tool for precise time measurement. Filipino time means being 15 to 60 minutes late. Being late for a meeting is normal, and no one is in a hurry. Time flows differently here, and all participants in life are accustomed to it. In some countries, social gatherings are not just a common occurrence, but an expected event. It is a national understanding that everything happens in its own time. Getting angry about delays is a waste of energy and a sign that you are an outsider. This approach to life seems relaxed, but to a German, it may seem unbearable. In many countries, from Canada to Japan and all of Scandinavia, there is a sacred, invisible line at the doorstep. It is not a request, but a law. A guest is obliged to take off their shoes. For an American used to wearing sneakers, this may seem strange. But dirty street marks on a clean floor are a war. In America, the end of a group lunch turns into chaos with Venmo requests and disputes over checks. In France, however, it is a subtle, bloodless dual moment. The rule is simple. The one who invited pays. This leads to a strange spectacle where everyone fights to pay the bill, aggressively insisting, fully aware of who should win. It is a beautifully staged play about generosity, the ending of which is well known and understood by everyone. A quick pointing gesture towards the room. You just used your index finger, didn't you? In Indonesia, this is considered a serious display of aggression. The index finger is an accusatory jab. The thumb is a soft, respectful nudge. The difference between "look there" and "I accuse this of treason." We have already talked about the left-hand rule. Now let's apply it in practice. Imagine you are in Morocco, sitting around a shared dish with hot tagine. You eat with your right hand, scooping food with bread. Now imagine you accidentally took it with your left hand. The food stops. Everyone freezes. You have just contaminated the shared food with a hand that is considered for other tasks. At this moment, it is not your hand, but a social contaminant. In Australia, shouting does not mean raising your voice. It means buying a round of drinks and is governed by a social contract stricter than the tax code. In a group, everyone buys a round in turn. This system is a sacred ledger of social debt. The cardinal sin is not failing to pay, but accepting drinks, then leaving before your turn to shout. Leaving early is not just cheap. It breaks the entire system of reciprocity and trust among friends and strangers alike. 36. The Indian head wobble is one of the most wonderfully ambiguous gestures on the planet. It is a gentle side-to-side figure 8 motion. This gesture can mean yes, no, maybe, okay, I understand, or I acknowledge you are speaking. It is the Schrödinger's cat of nonverbal communication. For outsiders, it is baffling, but for locals, its meaning is perfectly clear from context. You are not supposed to analyze it. You are supposed to feel it. Good luck with that. 37. After Japan's delicate dance of indirectness, let's take a trip to Israel, the world capital of chutzpah. Small talk is often seen as a waste of time in Israel. Politeness can be interpreted as weakness. People get straight to the point. In some cultures, people speak with such directness it may seem shockingly blunt to an American. It is not rude, but a culture of social efficiency. They are not trying to offend you. They believe the shortest distance between 2 points is a brutally honest, straight line in communication. In Sweden, fika is not just a coffee break. It is a sacred, non-negotiable ritual twice a day in the morning and afternoon. During fika, everything stops. People stop working, sit with colleagues, drink coffee or tea, eat pastries, and talk about anything but work. Fika is a legally mandated moment of peace. Trying to work through fika is seen as antisocial and deeply strange. Productivity is fueled by these scheduled pauses, not by powering through tasks without breaks. In South Korea, before having a basic conversation with a new person, you must ask a deeply personal question. How old are you? This is not nosiness. It is a critical system requirement because the Korean language uses different verb endings and honorifics based on age. Your age determines your place in the social hierarchy. It acts as a social GPS guiding respectful communication. In New Zealand, there is a strong cultural tradition known as the tall poppy syndrome. If one poppy in the field grows too tall, it is cut down to size. In human terms, this means that anyone who becomes too successful or noticeable is quickly and ruthlessly brought back down to earth by their peers. This creates a strong sense of equality, but becomes a nightmare for ambition. It is a cultural force that does not allow anyone to stand out too much. We all know people like that. They have a great time at the party and then just disappear. No goodbyes, no hugs, nothing. They simply vanish into the night. This is not just rude behavior. It's a refined art known as the Irish goodbye, a cultural understanding that long farewells are awkward and unnecessary. The best way to leave is simply not to leave officially. It's the social equivalent of being a ghost. And honestly, there's a certain genius to it. In Italy, conversation is not a quiet exchange of information. It's a full-bodied emotional process that involves the whole body and voice. The volume at which Americans can have a heated argument is the normal level of conversation for an Italian family at dinner. Gestures fly, voices overlap, energy is palpable. This is not anger. It is passion and engagement. A quiet, muted conversation is not considered polite, but rather boring. A library and an Italian dinner are two different acoustic worlds. In many East Asian cultures, especially in China and Japan, the number 4 is considered an embodiment of misfortune. Its pronunciation is very similar to the word death. This is taken very seriously. In many buildings, the 4th, 14th, and 24th floors are skipped, going directly from the 3rd to the 5th. People avoid giving gifts in sets of 4. There is a real phobia, tetraphobia. It is as if an entire culture treats the number like a contagious disease. The first question an American asks a stranger is almost always, "What do you do?" In many parts of Europe, this is considered very rude. This question is too personal, direct, and implies that a person is defined only by their job. Americans perceive a career as an important part of identity. In Europe, a person's identity is much broader and is not limited to their profession. Other aspects of life are valued here, not just work activity. For many people, the question, "What do you do?" is not just a greeting, but turns a simple hello into an unexpected job interview. It is not a question about personality. For a Westerner, a bath is a place for washing. In Japan, however, ofuro is a way to relax after the body has already been thoroughly cleaned. First, one sits on a low stool and carefully washes the body with soap, completely rinsing off the dirt. Only after this can one enter the hot bath. Entering the bath dirty is like washing your feet in soup. In Japan, it is not just bathing, but entering a sanctuary for the soul and body. In America, asking for a doggy bag is common. It is practical and helps reduce food waste. Such behavior is accepted and raises no questions. In Europe, especially in France and Italy, asking to pack leftover food is a social faux pas. It implies the portion was too large or suggests greed. For Europeans, packing food is like asking the chef to sign a dirty napkin. It ruins the perfect dining atmosphere. In China, giving money as a gift is a true art. During Lunar New Year and holidays, money is placed in a hongbao, a red envelope. But there are strict rules. The banknotes must be new and fresh. The amount should include the lucky number 8 and avoid the unlucky number 4. Coins are not accepted. It is a symbolic gesture where the presentation and hidden meaning matter more than the actual sum of money. Money is not just money. It is a sign of respect and luck. Driving in Rome is not just transportation. It is fast, nonverbal bargaining, using gestures, aggressive posture, and horn signals. Traffic lanes are merely suggestions. Traffic lights are festive decorations. Parking spaces are an abstract concept. But the system works, even if it seems chaotic. You are not just driving a car. You are controlling a small metal gladiator in a modern coliseum, where every maneuver is important. In America, people are taught to finish all their food to show that they liked it. In China and some Asian countries, an empty plate is an insult to the host. An empty plate means the host did not provide enough food and the guest is still hungry, which is considered rude. It is important to leave some food on the plate. Politeness in some cultures is expressed by leaving a little food on the plate. This signals that you are full and satisfied, although from a Western perspective, it may seem strange. Such a gesture can offend the host if interpreted by Western standards. This is an example of a cultural paradox where excessive politeness becomes inappropriate. We have already talked about 49 cultural traps, and only one remains. But before the finale, it's time to give the final verdict on the strangest traditions. In our opinion, the Finnish business sauna takes first place among the most unusual traditions. Why? Because the most important decisions are made here in complete absence of clothing and privacy. There is nothing in this place except 100% humidity. Negotiating a merger with the CEO while both are naked and sweaty seems like an incredible level of openness. Do you agree with this choice? Or does another tradition deserve the title of the strangest? Share your opinion in the comments. Now let's move on to the last 50th item. In Germany, there is a sacred daily ritual that is more important than the laws of thermodynamics. It is called Luften, or airing out. It is not just opening a window. It is a sharp ventilation when the air seems to be thrown outside and the room fills with freshness despite the cold or heat. This ritual is more important than anything else. In many countries, windows are opened wide for a few minutes, even in the deepest winter, to completely replace stale air with fresh and cold air. Not doing this is considered unhygienic and a direct cause of mold growth. It is a mandatory household ritual, not just a habit or preference. This is not up for discussion and is perceived as a moral duty of every person in the house. Such is the essential norm of life in many cultures. We have traveled to many countries and now understand. Each of them is a secret society with its own set of strange passwords and rules. We have studied about 50 such rules, but honestly, this list is far from complete. In every country, there is at least one incredibly strange, unspoken rule. We missed those that locals know intuitively, but which can confuse any foreigner and cause a real cultural shock. Now, the comments section is a real database for such missed rules. Don't just name the rule, but explain it as if warning a tourist before a disaster. If you enjoyed learning how much stranger the world is than you thought, support the project. Like and subscribe so you don't miss new deep dives into human madness.